All right. Streaming as a creative practice, streaming as meditation. So this is incredibly important. That it's just like meditation. You don't read about meditation. You don't just do it once. You have to do it every day to reap the benefits of it. And that is incredibly important. That is incredibly important. It puts you into a state where you can actually think what's next and ideas. You make time for yourself for what's next. What are the next ideas that you want to work on? Right now, I'm already thinking that. So right now, one thing I'm thinking about is that we need a monthly fireside chat with Balaji. Monthly fireside chat with Balaji. Host a fireside chat with Balaji. Fireside chat with Balaji, no recording allowed. Questions. Crowdsourced from the community. Do you call this community? From the school. Questions crowdsourced from the people of NS. Fireside chat with Balaji, no recording allowed. Questions crowdsourced from the people of NS. Let's make it happen. Okay, very interesting. Let's not look at this right now. Not in that mood, but this is also interesting. I think just mentioning the rabbit hole, mentioning the title of the broadcast, it helps me be very clear with the intention. It helps me really understand that do I really care about this topic? If no, let's go to the things that I really care about. So streaming is a creative practice, really important, incredible. I had this idea. I had to do something about it. Otherwise, it's like, yeah. Otherwise, it's just gonna stick with, yeah. Otherwise, it's gonna like disturb me. It's gonna distract me, and I have to put it out there. You have to put things out there to make stuff happen. From the people of NS. The people of NS. I like the people of NS. Uh, yes, last night we did the Claudiasm event. Incredible, incredible. I was sitting over here, maybe last week, and I'm thinking that what's the best thing you can do with all this power of AI Now that all the essentials are covered, what you're supposed to do is make art. We sat over here with Fable Fi. We were spinning a bunch of shairis. We were spinning a bunch of shairis, and then it makes me think that okay, so what do we do now? So what do we do now? And we came up with some beautiful shairis. I came up with this event. I came up with this name, Claude Azam, and then I started just sharing with people that hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And a lot of people really liked it. Like there was one Arvind. Arvind actually really liked it, and he was there last night. He was there. So that is really cool. That is really cool. And Arvind wrote this poem for us. नए लोग नए जज्बात नई मुलाकात हुई नए लोग नए जज्बात नई मुलाकात हुई कच्चे दर्द को लफ्ज़ों में पिरोकर रात हुई शायरी की महफिल में दिल खिलखिलाया यार शायरी की महफिल में दिल खिलखिलाया यार क्लॉड आज़म को शुक्रिया एक बार नहीं हज़ार क्लॉड आज़म को शुक्रिया एक बार नहीं हज़ार क्लॉड आज़म को शुक्रिया एक बार नहीं हज़ार क्लॉड आज़म is a very interesting name. But really cool, really cool. We had a great time. We had a good photo. Let me see if I can show the photo here. But we had a good amount of people. It was really cool. I think it was really cool. Like I was sitting over there, and I really thanked all these people that, yeah, there are not going to be many people who are going to be interested in something like this. But the people who are interested, they are going to be so interested that that's the only thing that I'm looking for. It's not about the number that, oh, I had like 10 people in my event or 20 people in my event. It's the depth of reaction that I'm looking for. I'm looking for the depth. There were just 4 people, but I'm really looking for the depth. There was one person who, when understood a shairi, he really smiled. He really smiled, and I love that. And then there was another one who was kind of like the main. He's like an audience. He's the engaged audience that you always look for. An engaged audience who is like, I don't have anything to contribute, but if you say something, I'm gonna be your top fan. I'm gonna be your top fan. And that was really cool. Shairi is about depth. It's not about breadth. So now the next thing that's coming to my mind is Fireside Chat with Balaji. I think that thing that happened over there with wow. even with NSTV, a lot of people ask me that what happened to NSTV. NSTV was me trying to interview people, and we need more depth. For depth, you need people. I quickly saw that how the conversation can become really high level. The conversation can start becoming really high level, and we want depth over here. We want depth over here. We don't want breadth that, okay, every new member that comes over here, every new interesting person who comes over here, we interview them. So I think that's going to be the only good podcast where when you're just going for breadth only, the only good podcast is going to be the first podcast. The only good podcast is going to be the first podcast. And for the rest, you have to do a lot of work. You have to start doing a lot of research. This has to become a proper thing where you research certain topics, you go deeper into them, you study them, and then you come on the show and then you talk. So it became really important to find people who are constantly in the zone of learning, because if your first podcast is going to be amazing, but by the second podcast, if you are not giving me anything fresh, then you are stale. If you're not giving me anything new, then you are stale now. Like you pretty much run out of all the content that you have to talk about. So by getting people to stream, what we have done is that we have made people extremely capable. We have number one, created a lot of content out of the rough work that they are doing at NS. We're getting people to do a lot of rough work out of the stuff they are doing at NS, and then when we get together, we have really interesting conversation. It's ongoing. Both the research and the show is out there, and the research is also research. First of all, is helping a lot, because research is also documenting their journey. Research is helping them learn about, oh wow, so helping others learn about NS, that what does a day look like at NS, and what are these people building and stuff like that. So yeah, when people say what happened to NSTV, I have a bigger goal than NSTV. NSTV quickly started feeling bland when I wanted to talk to the same people, but we didn't have a creative practice where we could be creative, where we could do more research, where we are constantly evolving, where we are becoming newer and newer. So we needed School of Streaming. School of Streaming is the right research work that everybody needs to do, that everybody who is aligned on this, that the work that when people do this work, then we can have much more interesting conversations. When people do this thing, we can have much more interesting conversations. So that is incredibly important. Wow. Tell me more about the idea of most men live lives of quiet desperation. I don't know, this was top of my mind, so let's see. Ruminating on it. Stand by. Yeah, so streaming as a creative practice, very important. Wow. So a lot of things that we thought about are now happening. Claudeism happened, and Claudeism is going to become a thing. So funny. It is a thing now. Look at this beautiful poster. Every time I look at this beautiful poster, so beautiful. Claudeism. Your photos from Q-Day. Okay, let's try this as well. Oh no, I need to stop sharing this. Okay. Your photos from Q-Day and Superia can found at ns.com. Okay. Lots of beautiful shairis, lots of beautiful Hindi poems. Shairi in Hindi. Let's see. Oh, what I'm saying. Shairi in English. Translates Shairi in English. No. Translate. Not extended thinking. Why am I using extended thinking? Abe. Translate the word Shairi in English. Lots of beautiful shairis last night. Lots of beautiful shairis last night at Creative Practise. Thank you all. Thanks everyone. Lots of beautiful shairis last night at Creative Practise. DM to join the chat. Lots of beautiful shairis last night at Creative Practise. DM to join the chat. Beautiful. Extremely beautiful photos. Incredible. I love beauty. I love aesthetics. And let's see this again. I think we have seen this before, but look at this beauty. Wow. Creative Practise. So beautiful. This is so beautiful. Aesthetics. Look at all the detailing over here. Oh my god. Look at all the detailing. Look at all the detailing. Oh my god. The shadow, the embossed effect. Oh my god. So rich. I sat down that night and I tried this first with Claude Design. But Claude Design is trying to make this in a font that is replicable. But you don't need that. You don't really need that because when you start trying to making it replicable, it's only using the default fonts, and then you are not getting all the beautiful texture. You're not getting all the combination of calligraphy, the blend of Hindi and Urdu, or Hindi, Urdu, English, or Urdu and English. Let's say you're not getting the beautiful blend of Urdu and English font. But if you just generate with Grok and you are like, hey, don't worry, I don't need to replicate that font. I don't need to be, I don't want to be writing in that font. Don't worry about that. Just make it happen. Just make it like an image. This is an image. I don't know how I'm gonna replicate that if I need to replicate this in multiple other formats. But this is beautiful. It's beautiful. Extremely beautiful. I'm really happy. And Claude Azam is in the color of Claude. and there's a peacock, there's the jewelry design, extremely beautiful. Lots of beautiful shairis last night at Claudiasm. DM to join the chat. Now let's come to this one. The phrase comes from Henri David Thoreau's Walden, where he wrote that the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. It's one of his most enduring observations, and it captures a critique that runs through the whole book. Thoreau's basic claim is that most people are trapped by. It's one of his most enduring observations that captures the critique that runs through the whole book. I don't know why. I don't know how, but recently this came up somewhere. Most men live lives of quiet desperation. So I was like, I'm more curious again because we did look into this, but it's important to keep looking at the same thing. It's important to keep looking at the classical things, most interesting things again and again, because if it's good, if it's really good, then you do want to remember that. You do want to keep that close to you. You do want to, yeah, you want to keep close. You want to keep going back to it. You want to keep going back to the same art with different perspective, with more experience, and see how it changes you all over again. Most enduring observation captures a critique that runs through the whole book. Most people are trapped by social convention, by the pursuit of property and status, by debt and labor. Into lives they didn't really choose and don't find fulfilling. Into lives they didn't really choose and don't find fulfilling. The desperation is quiet because it's resigned rather than rebellious. The desperation is quiet because it's resigned rather than rebellious. People don't cry out or revolt. They accept their lot, distract themselves, and go through the motions. Here's a darker line right after. What is called resignation is confirmed desperation. People don't cry out or revolt, they accept their lot, distract themselves, and go through the motions. He adds a darker line right after. What is called resignation is confirmed desperation. In other words, the calm acceptance people mistake for peace is often just despair that has stopped struggling. Okay, so yeah, our friend has responded that Balaji does that for long termer. And I'm like, yes, been there. Balaji needs to get into a flow state, long form, sitting down, one interview. He's a good listener who doesn't interrupt, asks the right question at the right time, allows him space to go deeper and explore his ideas. Explore. Okay, yes, been there. Balaji needs to get into a flow state, long form, sitting down, one interview. He's a good listener who doesn't interrupt, asks the right question at the right time, allows him space to go deeper and potentially explore new ideas. The Thursday 1 p.m. thing cuts the flow. Exactly. By social convention, by the pursuit of property and status, by debt and labor into lives they didn't really choose and don't find fulfilling. The desperation is quiet because it's resigned rather than rebellious. People don't cry out or revolt, they accept their lot, distract themselves, and go through the motions. He adds a darker line right after. What is called resignation is confirmed desperation. In other words, the calm acceptance people make mistake for peace is often just despair that has stopped struggling. Thoreau's basic claim is that most people are trapped by social convention, by the pursuit of property and status, by debt and labor, into lives they didn't really choose and don't find fulfilling. The desperation is quiet because it's resigned rather than rebellious. It's resigned rather than rebellious. People don't cry out or revolt, they accept their lot, distract themselves, and go through the motions. He adds a darker line right after. What is called resignation is confirmed desperation. In other words, the calm acceptance people mistake for peace is often just despair that has stopped struggling. Into lives they didn't really choose and don't find fulfilling, the desperation is quiet because it's resigned rather than rebellious. All right, very cool, very cool, very cool. It's very interesting when I'm talking with someone who is also smart. He's saying that, yeah, so biology did spend 1 hour talking at people, and it's very interesting. Humans don't really enjoy being talked at. Humans enjoy being a fly on the wall during an interesting conversation. They love to peak during an interesting conversation. It's less about, oh no, no, you are the one who is giving a presentation, so talk at me, give me all the information. No, it's very interesting when two people incredibly smart are going at each other. When two humans of equal caliber are going at each other. The desperation is quiet because it's resigned rather than rebellious. People don't cry out or revolt. They accept the law, distract themselves, and go through the motions. He has the darker line right after what is called resignation. It's conformed desperation. In other words, the calm acceptance people mistake for peace is often just despair that has stopped struggling. A few threads worth pulling out. The role of work and possessions. The role thought people enslave themselves to their belongings and to the labor needed to maintain them. The role of work and possessions. The role thought people enslave themselves to their belongings. People enslave themselves to their belongings and to the labor needed to maintain them. To the labor needed to maintain them. The farmer owns the farm, but in a sense, the farm owns the farmer. Much of what people treat as necessity, he argued, is luxury that cost them their freedom and attention. Is luxury that cost them their freedom and attention. The failure of examination. Part of the tragedy for Thoreau is that the desperation is unconscious. The desperation is unconscious. People never step back to ask whether their lives are worth living the way they are living them. His retreat to Walden Pond was partly an experiment in doing exactly that, stripping life down to essentials, to live deliberately and see what was actually necessary. Conformity and routine, the desperation is reinforced by everyone around you living the same way, so it looks normal. Conformity and routine, the desperation is reinforced by everyone around you. The desperation is reinforced by everyone around you living the same way, so it looks normal. There's no obvious alternative on offer. Conformity and routine, the desperation is reinforced by everyone around you living the same way, so it looks normal. There's no obvious alternative on offer, which makes the trap feel like simply how things are. The idea has resonated far beyond Thoreau's era because it names something people recognize, the sense of being busy, productive, and outwardly fine while feeling that something essential is missing. Conformity and routine, the desperation is reinforced by everyone around you living the same way, so it looks normal. There's no obvious alternative on offer, which makes the trap feel like simply how things are. The idea has resonated far beyond Thoreau's era because it names something people recognize, a sense of being busy, productive, and outwardly fine, while feeling that something essential is missing. It's been echoed by later thinkers writing about alienation, conformity, and meaning, from existentialist philosophy to modern critiques of consumer culture and our world. The idea resonated far beyond Thoreau's era because it named something people recognize, the sense of being busy, productive, and outwardly fine while feeling that something essential is missing. It's been echoed by later thinkers writing about alienation, conformity, and meaning, from existentialist philosophy to modern critiques of consumer culture and overwork. It's worth noting Thoreau has his critiques undefined his prescription privilege, or in practical, he had advantages and a safety net that let him retreat to the woods and simplify your life is easier counsel for some than others. Others read the famous line as more diagnostic than despairing, a wake up call rather than a verdict. Since the rest of Walden is fundamentally about the possibility of living otherwise. If any particular angle interests you, the historical context. What would Thoreau say about the modern world, the modern life, the modern man? Taking longer than usual, trying again shortly. Attempt 5. What happened? What happened? Is the Wi-Fi down? The idea has resonated far beyond Thoreau's era because it names something people recognize, the sense of being busy, productive, and outwardly fine, while feeling that something essential is missing. It's been echoed by later thinkers writing about alienation, conformity, and meaning, from existentialist philosophy to modern critiques of consumer culture and overwork. Oh wow, what is happening? What happened? Oh, oh, oh. Is it because of the spelling? Thoreau. Okay, go again. Taking longer than usual. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Trying again shortly. Thoreau has talked about that most men live lives of quiet desperation. What would he say about the modern world, the modern man? Thoreau. It's Thoreau. Let's go. Claude, what are you doing? Complaining, stand by. Let's make it happen. I guess it's time to use Grok. Still working on its standby. Alright. So we'll likely see the modern world as an amplified version of the quiet desperation already diagnosed in the 19th century, louder, faster, more technologically sophisticated, but no less desperate, and perhaps even more so because the distractions are so effective at masking it. In Walden he wrote, the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. What is called resignation is confirmed desperation. What is called resignation is confirmed desperation. From the desperate city, you go into the desperate country and have to console yourself with the bravery of minks and muskrats. Whoa. A stereotype by unconscious despair is concealed even under what are called the games and amusements of mankind. The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. What is called resignation is confirmed desperation. What is called resignation is confirmed desperation. From the desperate city, you go into the desperate country and have to console yourself with the bravery of minks and muskrats. The stereotype but unconscious despair is concealed even after what was called the games and amusements of mankind. He went into the woods, and not just to escape but to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. He wanted to suck out all the marrow of life. He went to the woods not just to escape but to live deliberately, to front but to live deliberately to front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach and not when I came to die discover that I had not lived. To front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn it had to teach and not when I came to die discover that I had not lived. Thoreau was deeply skeptical of the industrializing, commercializing society of his time. He criticized the endless pursuit of wealth, luxuries, and improvements that enslaved people to labor and debt rather than freeing them. He famously built his own simple cabin, lived frugally, and questioned why people work so hard for things they didn't truly need. In today's world of 9 to 5, 9 and 6, grind, gig economies, hustle culture, endless scrolling for dopamine, and consumerism fueled by advertising and social media, you'd probably say we have built exactly the machine he feared. People are more connected than ever via gadgets, yet more alienated from nature, community, and their own inner lives. The desperate city has gone global, with suburbs and even rural areas wired into the same system of constant acquisition and comparison. You might call smartphones, streaming, and online shopping the new railroads and telegraphs, tools that promise speed and convenience, but mostly this is really cool. Really cool. Just want to do a quick check on Discord. The desperate city has gone global, with suburbs and even rural areas wired into the same system of constant acquisition and comparison. He might call smartphones, streaming, and online shopping the new railroads and telegraphs, tools that promise speed and convenience but mostly accelerate trivial pursuits while we neglect what matters. He wasn't any technology per se, he used what was available thoughtfully, but he warned against becoming dependent on it or letting it dictate the terms of life. Modern commentators often imagine he would view AI algorithms and 24/7 news cycles with disdain. He wasn't anti-technology per se, he used what was available thoughtfully, but he warned against becoming dependent on it or letting it dictate the terms of life. Modern commentators often imagine he would view AI algorithms and 24/7 news cycles with disdain, tools that replace thoughtful reflection with noise. He wasn't anti-technology per se, he used what was available thoughtfully, what he warned against becoming dependent on it or letting it dictate the terms of life. Modern commentators often imagine he would view AI algorithms and 24/7 news cycles with disdain, tools that replace thoughtful reflection with noise, and that makes us dissatisfied with our own lives by curating endless highlight reels. He wasn't anti-technology per se, he used what was available thoughtfully, but he warned against becoming dependent on it, letting it dictate the terms of life. Modern commentators often imagine he would view AI algorithms and 24/7 news cycles with disdain, tools that replace thoughtful reflection with noise that make us dissatisfied with our own lives by curating endless highlight reels on nature, simplicity, and inner life. Would almost certainly urge a return to simplicity, deliberate living, and deep engagement with the natural world as antidotes. In an era of environmental crisis, racial overload, and mental health struggles amid material abundance, his call to simplify feels prophetic. He saw true wealth in time, presence, and self-reliance, not possessions. Not possessions. He will likely praise movements toward minimalism, homesteading, or rewilding, while critiquing greenwashed consumerism or tech billionaires promising salvation through more gadgets. Tech billionaires promising salvation through more gadgets. He valued solitude, observation, and thinking for oneself over conformity or mob opinion. He valued solitude, observation, and thinking for oneself over conformity or mob opinion. In our polarized, media saturated age, he might echo his thoughts on news and gossip. Most of it isn't worth it at time, and constant consumption of it distracts from living meaningfully. He would likely praise movements toward minimalism, homesteading, or rewilding while critiquing greenwash consumerism on tech billionaires promising salvation through more gadgets. He valued solitude, observation, and thinking for oneself. He valued solitude, observation, solitude, observation, and thinking for oneself or conformity or mob opinion. Or conformity or mob opinion. In a polarized media saturated age, he might echo his thoughts on news and gossip. Most of it isn't worth the time on news and gossip, and constant consumption of it distracts from living meaningfully. On the individual and society, as a proponent of civil disobedience and nonconformity, Thoreau would admire those resisting unjust systems or building alternative ways of life. Admire those resisting unjust systems or building alternative ways of life. Think intentional communities, digital minimalism, experiments, or frontier oriented builders, but he would warn against trading one set of chains for another, whether corporate, governmental, or algorithmic. He believed in the power of the individual to shape their life through conscious effort. Ultimately, Thoreau would probably say that while the tools and scale have changed, the core human problem has, and most people still aren't truly living. They're consuming, performing, consuming, and resigning themselves to a life of what is called success or entertainment. While the song remains unsung, his prescription would be the same: go to the woods, metaphorically or literally, reduce life to its lowest terms, confront the essentials, and wake up before it's too late. To its lowest terms, confront the essentials, and wake up before it's too late. In short, the desperation isn't quieter anymore. It's drowned out by notifications, but the path to something better, deliberate, awake, connected to what is real, remains open for those willing to take it. On work and ownership, Thoreau argued that the things we own end up owning us. The farmer is the tool of his tools. He would see the modern worker, mortgage, leverage, working a job to afford a lifestyle that requires the job. He would see the modern worker, mortgage, leverage, working a job to afford a lifestyle that requires the job as having perfected the trap. You've grown more efficient at producing things, he would say, but no clearer about whether we need them. He would be unimpressed by labor-saving devices that somehow leave everyone busier. On the phone in your pocket, Thoreau was suspicious of new communication tech precisely because it raced ahead of any reason to use it. He quipped that Maine and Texas, newly connected by telegraph, might have nothing to say to each other. Suspicious of new communication tech precisely because it raced ahead of any reason to use it. He quipped the Maine and Texas, newly connected by telegraph, might have nothing to say to each other. The smartphone is that anxiety made total. Infinite connection, much of it noise, permanent low-grade distraction from one's own thoughts. He would see scrolling as the purest form of quiet desperation, restlessness with no destination. On speed and news, he thought most news was gossip, dressed as importance. He thought most news was gossip, dressed as importance, and that men read it to avoid sitting with themselves. He would see scrolling as the purest form of quiet desperation, restlessness with no destination. The smartphone is that anxiety made total, infinite connection, much of it noise, a permanent low-grade distraction from one's own thoughts. The smartphone is that anxiety made total, infinite connection, much of it noise, a permanent low-grade distraction from one's own thoughts. You would see scrolling as the purest form of quiet desperation, restlessness with no destination. You would see scrolling as the purest form of quiet desperation. Scrolling is the purest form of quiet desperation, restlessness with no destination. On speed and news, he thought most news was gossip dressed as importance and that men read it to avoid sitting with themselves. He recognized the doom scroll instantly. On the cure, Thoreau wasn't really a pessimist. But Thoreau wasn't really a pessimist. The desperation line is a setup for an argument that it's unnecessary. His prescription would be the same. Thoreau wasn't really a pessimist. The desperation line is a setup for an argument that it's unnecessary. His prescription would be the same: simplify deliberately. Strip life down until you can see what's actually essential. The mass of men are desperate because they have never asked what they want, only absorbed what they are supposed to want. But Thoreau wasn't really a pessimist. The desperation line is a setup for an argument that it's unnecessary. The desperation line is a setup for an argument that it's unnecessary. His prescription would be the same: simplify deliberately. Strip life down until you can see what's actually essential. The mass of men are desperate because they have never asked what they want, only absorbed what they are supposed to want. The sharpest thing you might say is that the modern man's desperation is no longer even quiet. It's loud, monetized, and piped in voluntarily, yet still mistaken for living. Loud, monetized, and piped in voluntarily, yet mistaken for living. Words memory Thoreau is provocateur. As much as a sage, he's overstating to wake you up. The honest pushback is that connection, technology, and ambition are only traps, and simplify are only traps. Connection, technology, and ambition are only traps. And simplify is easier preached from a borrowed cabin on a friend's land than practiced.